Whoa, I think it actually worked this time.
There it is.
Welcome to episode number 33 of the We're Alive FanCast, where we cover every new release of the We're Alive audio drama. I'm Redbeard.
And I'm Mick. Thank you, and welcome to the live podcast. We're getting ready to have a lot of fun. They've changed some things already since our last one.
We're going to do a quick coverage of part 3, and with the fans, we're going to do coverage of the entire chapter 43.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to talk about.
So this one was, the subcap on this one was Into the Darkness.
Yeah, so spoiler warning, chapter 43-3.
Welcome to episode number 43 of the World Alive FanCast, where we cover...
Got to pause my own stream there.
Way to go.
Sorry about that.
I can hear myself in your mic, by the way.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn that down right now.
So, I know we have corrections from last week.
We do have corrections from last week, but to get as much time as possible with the fans, I left those out this time. We can cover those maybe next time.
Okay, sounds good.
But also a few other issues. Chat is all messed up. A few people have found, oh look, Casey's in chat. A few people have found that if you open the view all comments section up top in the new tab, you can get around that caption nonsense. So don't worry about that. Also, anybody that wants to join, in the About section here in a few minutes, we're going to post a link, and you'll be able to click that and join the channel. There may be problems. If it says that we're not following you, just please drop that in chat, and we'll be sure to go in there and follow you so you can get in here. And let's see. I think that's all I have before we cover, we're each going to cover just a couple points from the show and then move right into the listener section.
Okay, cool. Ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So we open up this thing with Datu and his where we kind of left off last week, and his being able to read the symbols or something. We find out that he's level 3, and the first symbol is a meaning for the address to Cordova.
Yes, Cordova. Hey, I'm working on the background, trying to get Casey in here.
Ah.
So
Okay,
that's your big point from the first thing?
That's my big point.
Yeah, so he can read the address. It's hurting his head. That's messed up.
Yes.
But
We got
one
more
other
coverage
thing.
on symbols here in a little bit. So.
Okay, yeah. One other thing that I pulled out of there was he's kind of revealing what it's like to be turned. Like he's trapped in the back of his own head, and we've talked about this being the scariest thing is if part of your consciousness is still there, and you lose control. Like what does that, how does that make you feel? Where all of a sudden this is about killing people, not just zombies.
Well, it makes it seem like there's a possibility that your existence is still trapped inside after you turn, kind of like what Datu was afraid of.
Right. Oh yeah, and that's that makes this whole thing a little bit freakier too.
It really does, but it kind of reveals some possibilities as to what that might be, like a parasitic host or aliens, but not magic or hives. Darn it! Why can't we have Casey on here now?
I know. I'm working on it. One second. So many tabs. Click all that.
So I know you're busy. So do you want me to just go ahead and jump into the church?
Yeah. Do your next point.
So next we got the church. There's more symbols that we'll talk about more in detail here in a minute, and Victor kind of spills the beans to Michael about, or almost does, but about Tanya and Saul being okay. That there was a fear of them, a chance of them being a chance of them turning soon.
Yes.
And Michael, he responded, "I thought we already knew that, but So I got to say, way to go, Vic.
Yeah, really, he called it out, and that's like so many people tweeted us, and I saw them talking about it. It was So this means Saul and Tanya are good, right? Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Don't know. Well, I've sent Casey a link via email, and maybe he will be able to get in here now.
We'll give it a second.
Yeah, and I'll move on to, let's see, where is... Oh, there he is. Let me add him to broadcast. Oh, my goodness, we got a camera even.
Yep. You're surrounded by beards.
That's right. And you can unmute yourself, Casey? I think you can.
No, I'm not. No, I'm
There
here.
we go.
Hehehe.
Look at that beard.
It's pretty impressive.
So welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, guys. Well, don't let me interrupt you. I'm just listening.
Okay, great. Let me get back to my notes here. This should simplify it. I'm not trying to get you in here.
So there are so many times at this point where Datu seems to be turning, and it quickly turns to the Bugs Bunny scene where he's not really dying, you know?
Or he's coughing.
Yes.
Okay.
And then he wanders into the church.
Yeah, and you passed right through my second point, so I don't have to cover it, where basically, more about these symbols, he can't resist the urge. And
Right.
so we're learning, I think we're learning more about what these zombies, more characteristics about them, how they can't control themselves. Maybe that human consciousness is in the background. I really hope not once he fully turns, but it's just crazy.
Right. So then we see, or we don't see anything. We hear about the meteor smashed hole into the ground. It's not, but
Awesome. Bring it to Smallville for me.
Yeah. Yep, stacking it up to be aliens.
Oh no. Casey's shaking his head. He's not making any sound. You might not be able to see him.
Yes. That's perfect. That's what I wanted right there. So, and this doesn't last very long, and they're getting surrounded by a group of zombies approaching the church. And these are the worst radios in the world. They're not able to call out because of the rain.
What's up with that? It's like, but I like it. It's something that, we got these segmented groups going on.
It's not so much the radios. I'll throw that out there. Because remember, the radios are only part of the equation of how they communicate.
Right, it's the relays and everything else involved.
Okay, yeah.
I think
that's scary.
Some of the existing phone lines and stuff like that too. But let's see. And Datu says, "I can hear them." Now, is this like Sixth Sense type thing, or does he just hear them obviously approaching?
Yeah, they're doing some water cooler conversation on the way back home.
Yes. Did you buy the milk?
Right. And then we never got to talk about this. I told you I had the Billy Mays thing. I was thinking, what was I thinking exactly? I don't know. It was basically like, Billy Mays here, and then if you listen now, we'll get you one good cliffhanger. But wait, there's more. Hang around another 6 more minutes, and you'll get 2 cliffhangers. What?
So yes, they enter the hole, the dark hole.
Yes. I don't even know. I don't know why I was picturing like Darth Vader and everybody entering that transport back in Star Wars, but for some reason that entered my brain. I'm sure it's not going to be pretty white paneling in this hole they're going into, but I really don't know where they're going.
And just for funky dunk's sake, which Star Wars is that?
That would be A New Hope, the episode 4.
So then we break away from this. We fade back into, I guess, Dunbar, and it's Tanya and Saul talking about the antibiotics. And she kind of clarifies that the antibiotics wouldn't do anything for Datu.
Right. Because, and she also says something funny there where she says to help with an infection, not whatever this zombie thing is. For some reason, that caught my ear.
Yep, yep, yep. And so there's the talk about CJ being invited to stay at Dunbar, and Saul kind of breaks the news about all the details about them deceiving CJ in order to attack the colony. It's going pretty well until his mom starts to side with CJ and kind of sets him straight.
Yeah, she pulls him out, and I appreciate what she's doing here too, because she does need help, and she doesn't need him freaking out on her veterinary skills.
Well, that wasn't because of the news that got broke about the inner workings of the CJ scandal.
Right.
but Lizzie coming in because there's something wrong.
Yeah, she's got a fever.
Yeah, the baby's heart rate is down, Lizzie's blood pressure is up, and Saul is freaking out like a dad should be.
And
maybe.
This takes me to my third note, which was, no, please no zombie baby. Please.
Oh, no? Okay.
Casey's hesitantly shaking his head no, so I'm not sure.
I'm not confirming or denying anything. I'm just that just sounds weird to me. Just saying. But I don't know. You never know.
That's right, and it should sound weird. That's well,
it reminds me a lot of what happened in the newest Dawn of the Dead, the one by Zack Snyder.
Right, I did not like that part at all.
Yeah, that part was a little odd to me.
But I guess he was just going for shock value there. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody had to do it eventually.
Hopefully it's done, never to happen again. And that's it for me, man. As far as of course, the big thing that happens at the end, if we're going to go through it all.
Tanya's saying that they're going to deliver the baby at Kane Hospital. That's huge.
It is. It's huge. It's freaky. If she thinks she's going into a clean OR, I don't think she's thinking straight.
Well, and there's something that was never addressed is, they were in the maternity ward. Were there, were infants left behind, or were they already picked up? I believe that's where the number ones come into play.
That could be scary. the silent shrug. Beautiful.
So, real quick though, I do want to talk about the symbols before we get real far into it. Okay. And so we found out the one symbols for the address to Cordova, and we know that Datu's feeling pain when he reads the symbols. And like you kind of talked about earlier, he says it's like sitting back away from what I could see, like I was in the back seat of my mind watching from a distance. And Datu's insight to what it is to be a zombie from a human point of view is pretty terrifying. And jump in here anytime, Mick.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was saying. If there's any part of you back behind that's watching with these terrible things that your body would be doing, I mean, that's got to be one of the ultimate horrors of the show if that's what happens.
So, I don't know. With all that in mind, it makes me think that there's some kind of parasitic or intelligent host of some sort occupying the human body.
Okay. Yeah. So.
And from what we know from before, they can die from bleeding out. So it's a symbiotic relationship, right?
Yeah.
So one depends on the other.
Exactly. I'm trying to rethink. I thought symbiotic. Is that whenever both can benefit from what the other's doing? That wouldn't sound quite right.
Maybe not. I may have the wrong term.
I'd have to look up the term without this being called out on the spot with it. But
so we also find out. Okay, so the symbol with the fan, it's the 3 lines with the 5 lines going to a point below it. That means stop. And the symbol above the church, which we don't really understand There wasn't a great description of what the symbol was, but it was large, distinct lines scratched into the stone, and it meant enter.
Mm-hmm.
And with those simple commands being figured out and I'm sure being journaled away, can they be used as a tool to fight the zombies?
Oh, I hadn't even gotten close to thinking about that. That's crazy and genius.
Just put up signs around the colony that says stop.
All right.
No reaction from Casey.
Hands are up, shrugging.
You will not goat me into giving reactions verbally or visually.
Oh, it's funny you say goat though.
Love it. You dog.
Well, that's really all I had on that until we get into more discussion with the fans.
Yeah. Casey, thanks for joining again, like we said. Is there anything else you want to cover before we start welcoming the guests in here?
You asking me or Casey?
I'm asking Mr. Wayland there.
Oh, me. Oh, about the episode? No, I'm just whatever you guys. I'm kind of on the back of your wings, so you guys fly, and I'm just here to comment where people have questions, answers, or stuff like that. I just won't give you anything more than I can't give you what's going to happen in the next couple chapters. I might at the end of this give you the title of the next chapter if everyone's nice.
Score.
Maybe.
Everybody.
Maybe. If they're nice. If they're not nice, then I'll just.
Yeah. So easy with all the musical jokes, I guess.
And he's out.
I was waiting to see like a little desk flip over in the background.
No, my desk is a mess right now. I don't want to flip it over.
That's great. Okay, guys, I've just placed the link in the About section. You may need to refresh that page to see it. And when you click it, hopefully it's going to send you right back into our Hangout here. If it doesn't, please let us know in chat, and we can make sure to go follow you on Google+, because that's what it made us do for Redbeard tonight all of a sudden, just a month after the last one. So.
Oh, and if you do that, mute or pause the YouTube tab.
Yes, absolutely. Pause that so we don't get that feedback.
I left mine open because the chat thing is slightly different.
Yeah, a little bit there.
And wow, there are some crazy comments in the chat.
My favorite so far, I haven't been able to look at all of them, was Deacon's comment about Casey's testosterone or something, and how he couldn't grow a beard and he wants to.
I was looking at.
My hair just subtracts up top and adds on bottom. It's just that's how it works.
That's great. Let's see. Go back.
Fattest baby would eat all the others. That's also Deacon. Oh wow.
Your script reading. If I read you the stuff I was working on, you'd be so confused because it's like from chapter 46.
That's right. Oh look, we've got our good buddy Adam has joined the stream. Let me show him in broadcast.
There we go.
All right, Adam, I'm about to unmute you. See how this works. Hey, Adam.
He says his mic is messed up.
Mic is messed up.
Well, I guess he can type here and we can respond.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if anybody, like, I guess if people ask questions in the chat, we can just respond to them as they go through or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we don't get to it, you can post it again, but we'll try to get to them. But chat is moving pretty quick. It's good stuff.
And for those of you multitasking, your camera will come on when you're in the bathtub. I've had that happen before.
What?
Well, not me, but someone that joined a live chat.
They were in their bathtub?
Yeah, they were in the bathtub holding a conversation with us.
Wow.
It was a very awkward moment. Full-grown man taking a bath.
Well, all right. Hey, okay, Alberto is in chat. Do we know his forum name?
No.
All right, I'm going to bring him into... Looks like his camera might be on, too. So... Oh,
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to I clicked the unmute there. We should be able to hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, hey, Alberto, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm actually Undead Sweeper. How you doing?
Oh, hey!
Yeah, I know that
cool.
name.
This is gonna happen a lot, by the way, at the live event for anybody coming out. We have no idea what anybody's real name is, so we're probably gonna have to come up with a name tag thing for everyone from the forums. Like, here's your name tag.
That'll work out.
So
Yeah, I wish I can actually go to the event. I live northeast with I guess Nick Voodoo in this area.
Awesome.
Yeah, one day, hopefully, if we ever get to do this years down the road, we'd love to take it on tour. I can't swear anything to that now, but I'd love to do it one day.
That would be pretty killer.
So, you got any feedback from today's episode?
Actually, I was I left a comment on the forums about the whole CJ thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've noticed Casey is kind of, I don't know if it's intentional, but it seems that there's been more, I would say, interaction among the characters about kind of be a little more appreciated CJ or seeing on CJ's side. Because it looked like a lot of the people were, especially on the forum, were kind of a little harsh on her leadership. But I look at what Michael was doing, and I'm like, what's that different from what CJ is doing at the time?
Yeah, I gotta agree. I mean, that's something that's changed a little bit, I think, with all the characters progress and grow as they go. CJ was her own hermit for the longest time in her own tower, and she went from like a community mentality to a single person mentality, now back to community. So she's gone back and forth. She's always been a little bit different, but yeah, I think everybody is really just trying to do the best they can is what it boils down to, and everybody makes mistakes. There's not one person on the crew that has not screwed up at least once.
Mm-hmm.
That's a better way to look at it. I kept thinking because she was such a great planner that she had some other agenda or an angle, and I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. But yeah, it doesn't appear to be that way.
Mm.
Yeah, it does not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Alberto, got a couple questions for you, brother.
Okay.
Let me, and that's not like a Hulk Hogan, like, brother. For some reason I say that now, I don't know why. Do you think you don't think this is going to be a zombie baby, do you?
I'm hoping it's not a zombie baby because it just gets way too much complicated. Because what, is the baby gonna like crawl out of poor Lizzie's body, or it just? I don't know how you're gonna do that.
Well, of course it would claw its way out.
But it doesn't have any nails. It doesn't have any teeth, so it's just gonna be like there. Just
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah,
but
luckily Saul wasn't infected by a little one.
You ever read Twilight? Apparently, Edward's just going to chew it out.
Oh, wow.
Oh, another reason for me not to read it. Oh
gosh.
Hello, kitty kitty.
This is Poe, who is the inspiration for Mr. Whiskers.
All right, is that the cat you took the picture with the album art? Or for?
Yeah, this is the same one. So he's a little bit of an internet star.
Are we ever gonna see Mr. Whiskers again, or he's still gonna stay at Tower?
You're seeing him right now.
Oh, okay.
You look like an evil henchman over there. Yes.
That's great. And Redbeard, you had some questions, right?
No, not at the moment.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna throw some questions out there. All right, Alberto. Anything else, brother?
I'm trying to think. Are we ever gonna see Skittles? Or Skittle completely out of the story now?
I like the eyebrow raise.
Put it this way, if we didn't even hear about him again, it would be like a little bit of a whatever happened to moment, and I don't want to leave those in the story.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of stuff in the story that we spent some time on in previous seasons, but I really like to wrap up every kind of like different hair everywhere. I like to wrap up all the possible what ifs in the scenario, if that makes sense.
Okay.
That's good. It sounds like we're not going to not see him answer.
Double negatives.
Beautiful. All
Well,
right.
they could discover a dead body and it's him. I mean, that would be the same, but I mean, you never know.
And Mr. Whiskers would be eating him.
That's right.
Oh.
Any truth to Marshawn Lynch coming in to play Skittles? There's no Seahawks fans here, I guess.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
It's a football player who is famous for eating Skittles.
Oh, okay. I was like, sports? What? Huh?
All right, Alberto. We're gonna bring in the next listener here.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining. All right, looks like we've got Funky Dung up here next. I'm gonna bring him onto the show. Hello, there you are. What's up?
Wait,
Sorry, I unmuted you and you muted yourself back. My bad.
I'm never sure who's supposed to control that.
I'm never sure if you could even control it, but apparently you can. So
Gotcha.
very good. Welcome back.
Hey, glad to be back.
Let's see. I want to turn your volume up just a little bit here, kind of equalize it with the rest of us.
Fair enough.
Very good. So what'd you think?
Of what in particular? Just the latest episode or the whole chapter?
Both.
it's free game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, talk about whatever you want. Third season, fourth season.
CJ! No,
Anything that really bug you in the story? Because I like talking about stuff that we might not have covered very well.
okay. I'm a little confused about Michael's story arc as a character.
Okay.
Are you trying to make us dislike him?
Well, okay. So let me ask you: what are some of the things that you don't like about him? Just curious. Was it the most recent episode?
No, it's really been a kind of a long-term transformation that in the beginning I really enjoyed identifying with him as somebody who was making the best of a bad situation. He was taking on a leadership role, albeit reluctantly, but doing it well, and saving people's butts, and yeah, making mistakes and whatnot. But then somewhere along the line, he just gets off track and sucked into his own particular obsessions, and it was strange. It was a little jarring. And then at the same time, and I know I probably sound like a broken record, then comes Jar Jar CJ, and
Some people really hate her, and I'm like,
Well-
okay.
Well,
Well,
that's why Mick loves her so much.
He's gonna kill you.
here's my amateur psycho analysis. So I know you said that you put yourself into some of these characters, or these characters are manifestations of your personality. And I think you've even specifically said that Michael and CJ are both manifestations of your personality.
Yeah, actually,
And-
everybody has a piece, but it's different amounts. Yeah, I know.
Okay. But it almost seems like that part of your personality that's Michael, you're bitter about and you're trying to punish, and you want to play up the CJ part, and
Well, it goes back and forth. It's a mix between, because they're kind of opposite leaders in a way. Michael has his own leadership style. CJ has her own leadership style, and neither one is absolute right. And Litmaster said, "No way, CJ equals Casey." Oh, thanks, Litmaster. But right now, Michael's perspective has shifted significantly since he came back from Fort Irwin. Michael, at the time, especially in the beginning, he was more concerned with the individuals, people more, because that was what he was focused on, and getting them to safety. And then once he saw the kind of threat that was out there, he didn't. He went to more of a bigger picture avenue, and that's where he's at now, where he's willing to take more risks because of the apparent bigger danger that's going on. That's kind of his arc has changed for that. And it's also there's still a lot of personal growth and stuff he has to deal with, especially with the past with Randy and mistakes that he's made and still having to deal with, and especially the dealing with Datu is something that's a huge arc still for him.
Gotcha.
So it's still there's still a lot more to come from him, but he's definitely not perfect. He's very, very flawed, and he's still got a lot of room to grow there.
Gotcha.
I hope that answers some of your question without not doing too much.
Well, I didn't know how much I could bring up anyway because, putting you on the spot to defend your characters and...
Oh, no, I don't mind it at all. If I can't defend my characters and the choices I make, then that's a poor storyteller. And there's some things, obviously, that I might dance around a little bit because there's more still ahead. So
that's fair.
Yeah, so there will be stuff that I might be a little bit vague or take time to answer on because I'm filtering a response. But yeah, no, I'm all everything's pretty much fair game at this point.
Gotcha.
Very good. So do you think we're gonna have a zombie baby?
I think I've seen that movie that had the zombie baby, and actually I thought it was a fairly creative thing to do, but not that I want to see it again. No. No, that just doesn't seem like Casey's style.
No, it doesn't. We've actually gotten a few different messages, I think in the last week, of people saying, so was Saul infected before this baby was possibly conceived, or when could that have happened?
I can clarify that now if you want.
Yeah, please do.
It was the 4th of July party. They hooked up before stuff went down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's I think it's mentioned in one of the episodes that I think it's it might even be a background conversation at the helicopter site when Pegs sees Lizzie again for the first time since a long time, and I think it's somewhere in there where he was conceived at the 4th of July party, and so they hooked up before everything went down.
That's right. I remember you saying that before now. That's kind of a silly question then.
No, it's not a silly question. I mean, there's so many little details that stuff can easily be missed, and so yeah, I'm all about making sure that if anybody has any questions or things missed, we can cover it. It's totally fine.
All right. Any other crazy conspiracy theories that you've heard or seen this week, Funky?
Not conspiracy theories, but I did do a little bit of wandering around the halls of my alma mater, Google U, and I came across some stuff about tunnels under Los Angeles, because I remember seeing something on Discovery or one of those channels that used to have intelligent programming, and
oh, was it Cities of the Underworld?
I don't know, it could be. The point is that it was something about, I think, there was a bunch of tunnels under various parts of California from during the time when there were Chinese immigrants who were building the railroad, and also there were tunnels that were related to Prohibition.
Yeah, the opium dens. Yeah, that was Cities of the Underworld.
Okay. Well, anyway, my point was I think you guys were talking in your last episode about, or maybe it was somebody in the forum. Somebody was talking about where would all the dirt go, or how would they be able to build all these tunnels in such a short period of time? And my thought was they didn't have to. They were there. And they might have to dig new shafts to get to them. But my guess might be that that church tunnel digs into an existing tunnel system.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't even think of that either. So we
Answers will be coming to that.
All I can think about is the guinea pig episode of South Park.
Oh no! Well, anyway.
You must go to the Katata fish.
Oh man, I wish I had that song.
So, hey, Funky Dung, you got any thoughts on how Datu can read the symbols? What kind of ability it might be?
Well, wow, I'm not sure what to make of that because, well, as I'm sure Casey would remind us, he's not into the mumbo jumbo, hand wavy kind of solutions to problems, and the hive mind stuff and all that just seems rather hokey. Um, and I guess I'm willing to stretch my mind out pretty far for sci-fi, but the idea that there's some sort of zombie virus that makes you capable of reading a new language, and everybody can read the same language, seems a bit off. And I'm much more partial to the idea of it being Tagalog or something.
Very good, very good. Hey, we're glad to have you back, Funky Dung. And if you don't have anything else, we're going to bring the next person on.
No, I only wanted to say one quick thing about Datu. Everybody's worried about Datu finally changing and whatnot, and question, will he, won't he, what have you. And I just thought it should be said that Datu's never going to give you up. Datu's never going to let you down. Datu's never going to run around and desert you. Datu's never going to make you cry. He's never going to say goodbye.
Where's
He's never going to tell a lie and hurt you.
You just Rick rolled the entire live cast.
Yes, I
Excellent.
did.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna eject both you and Mr. Alberto because of that Rickroll. No, but if you have something else to say, we still have time. We'll have you back on, man.
That's cool.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right. See you, Alberto. I see you waving, bro.
Later.
Let's see. And next we have Litmaster. Let me.
Somebody's
Bring
talking
him
about
back in
graboids in the chat from Tremors.
Yes, that's a perfect explanation.
All right, Lit. You can unmute whenever you want.
I have unmuted. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you just fine. Sounds crystal clear.
Perfect.
So you're skeptical about mines in LA. Let's hear more about that.
I don't know how this pre-existing tunnel or cave system would have existed, but I don't know. The issue of the dirt is not a huge stumbling block, but it just kind of makes you wonder. Like, that's one of the big intriguing points of the story I have right now is, all right, if Ink is really down in this tunnel system, what is he doing down there? It's also intriguing to me that you had all these zombies here within a couple days of the zombie outbreak, and they suddenly were gone. And where did they go? Are they all now underground? It just, I don't know. It seems to be taking the story in a slightly different direction than what I was anticipating. What is he doing? What does he have, like a big altar down there, and they're all like bowing to him or something? Like, really? And how does this tie in with the initial source of the outbreak? I mean, it's kind of interesting to me that now we've pretty much rolled out almost the entire majority of this story, and the sucker has still got us guessing as far as what's happening. I thought when we had the whole issue of the like who was the rat back in the tower, that was going to be like the mystery component in the story, and once that was kind of figured out and unfolded, that would be pretty much the end of the guessing game and the tinfoil hat theories that people came up with. But so Casey, since you're listening now, and I ask you, is that something you had planned from the inception of this story, that you were going to build in these little things that would keep people guessing right up to the end?
No, is the best answer I can give to that. Actually, when I initially went through the concept of it, I outlined, like, this was before I even started, I outlined the first 2 seasons. But after that, I didn't figure out yet. It wasn't until into the first season that I started to figure out where I wanted to go, and figured out kind of where it was. Because I think part of it, for me, was I didn't want to like, I had an idea of what I wanted to do for the ending, but there's so much still up in the air when the project was initially launched. I mean, I had to figure out who the characters were. I had to figure out, there's so many little different ins and outs of what happened with the story so much still had to be kind of figured out. But then I'd say after that first initial season, and I'm establishing all the characters and the norms, I start to layer in all the mysteries of everything going around, and then also strategically find a way to release the information in the best way possible to let them discover the answers rather than we just give them to you. So that's kind of how it's been able to continue to keep guessing, is because it's strategically mapped out to where it's like, okay, you're going to get this little piece now. That's only going to be one piece of the puzzle. You're going to get the other one, 6 episodes down the road, and that kind of thing. So it's kind of like just slowly giving you the world, because if you get it all at once, it's unbelievable. But if you get little bits at a time, you're going to be able to kind of like follow everything a little bit closer.
Right. Speaking of the character development, I just came up with this on the forum a little while ago, but I noticed in this latest episode, Michael twice says to Victor, "I'm not stupid," in terms of the plans that he's making. And it seems to make a point of that. And it seems like, well, why would he mention that twice? And I noticed previously CJ had talked about, well, I'm doing this for the sake of everybody. I'm not doing it just for me. I don't benefit from this. And she seems to be making a point of that, like I'm not selfish. I'm like, like, seems to be a little bit of anxiety or self-doubt with both of these leader types as far as like whether or not they feel like they're qualified to really lead these people. And I think Michael in particular seems to be regretting some what he sees as past mistakes that he's made that may have cost some lives, and he kind of takes responsibility for that. And I'm just thinking, like, what does this say about KC himself as a person? Like,
well, I'll tell you exactly. Well, one of the reasons why he says it is because he does not have a plan at every single second, and it's kind of a way to maintain face in front of your troops. He's trying to be a good leader. Like, if he, in front of Victor, seemed wavery or unsure of his next action, or like he needs to maintain in front of everybody else that he knows what he's doing, even though in his head the reality of it is he just walked into this church, saw that, and was like, probably, oh shoot, I'll say that. What am I gonna do now? This is insane. Like, Michael probably in his mind is like, essing himself because he doesn't know what to do next at points. He kind of flies by the seat of his pants at different times, and like, so he's probably juggling at times, and that's one of the reasons why he's also saying he's not stupid. So
very good.
The other one other issue I can think of that's been brought up last week and this week on the forums, as far as Datu instantly interpreting these symbols, the zombie insta-language thing, and what that means specifically.
So bad, but I can't.
Yeah, I know. I'm greatly enjoying the fact that that Casey is finally on the hot seat here in terms of having to really justify an aspect of his story.
Everyone's like, well, why? How is it that he could, like, just from changing, be able to interpret these things? And I'm just like, can't. But
right,
yeah, it's. I'm trying the best that I can to maintain not to say it, because I so want to, because people are like, oh, I don't know, and I'm like, hang in there, wait, but who knows? There might, and this is a really good, this is a real possible scenario, is there might be things in the story that might come up where people are like, I don't like it, and so this could be one of those things where it's something that I have in the story that people don't like. It could be, so it can go either way. My explanation that's up here that might come out in the story in explaining things might not be might not be a good one for people. I don't know. So there's an inherent risk with taking some of these things, but at the same time, I feel that these plot points and stuff that's happening is extremely necessary for other stuff. So in this perspective, it may not make as much sense as in the end, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, okay.
Right. It's kind of the fact that this is Todd's been making a point about this is that the fact that you started out the story in a realistic setting and kind of transferred it into this weird zombie apocalypse thing, kind of is making people judge the story by in terms of our everyday reality, and then that kind of makes you think like, well, how would that really happen, and is that really realistic? Like you've made the point before about flying zombies, how that would be totally ridiculous, having zombies with big wings flapping around, and how that would just not fit with the physics of the world. But in terms
my answer does actually fit. I will say that much here. I think the answer that is there fits, and I think it'll work just fine. That's my perspective, though. But that's I could be wrong. As we get towards the end here, I have to pull back portions of the curtain that I've held back for a while, and there might be stuff that people don't like that's behind there. So it could happen. One of the things that I kind of latch onto a little bit during this whole process, because it's extremely stressful. This writing this last half of this last season is probably the most stress I've ever had to do with writing, and especially with just landing an ending. J.K. Rowling, when she was finished with her last book, she set it down and sat back and looked at it, and she's like, "Well, I don't know. There might be people that hate it. I don't know. It's an inherent risk you have to take as an author sometimes. Is you don't sometimes know. You kind of have to see and go with your instincts. And I've kind of gone with my instincts the best that I have through the whole story. And I think hopefully this will pan out and it'll be okay. I think it will be. Once it's explained, people are like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. Then all of a sudden.
What people keep prodding in the chat saying that nanotechnology could be an explanation for how Datu could read the symbols. Your take.
Nanobots?
That says it all right there.
Dinobots, maybe.
Yes, Dinobots.
That doesn't impute. Okay, never mind. I don't want to break my brain.
Hey, Lit, did you have anything else for us or Casey?
No. I'll let somebody else have a chance now, but thanks for giving me some time.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining the stream.
Thanks, Lit. Good question.
Talk to you later.
I like being in the hot seat sometimes. It's hard to come up with some of these answers on the fly. I will definitely say that.
Yes. Okay. So we've got one last here. Let's see. I'm taking care of this here. We've got one last listener calling in, and there's a couple in chat I've seen that said they would like to join. All you've got to do is click that section down there in the About. There's a little link there. Click it, join, and you should be able to get in. If not, let us know in chat, and we'll try to resolve that for you. And Casey, before we get Jeremy in here, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about what you were saying about how busy you are this last half season. Does that have to do with? Does it have to do with you really committing to that being done by July 19th and forcing your way through that, or is there something else going on?
You went to Garbletown.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I missed like 17 words in there.
Sure. You said you're really busy this last half of the season, and is that due to a scheduling constraint you put on yourself, or is there a lot of writing going into this and you're trying to make it just right, or something else?
It's a lot of both. Because I edit and I write, and I'm producing and directing all this. Grace and I juggle so many different hats, but a lot of the writing is where a lot of the stress comes in, because I'm producing the episodes and editing, but I also have to portion out time to write, and more and more time goes into editing now than it ever did before, just because we don't let stuff fly that we would in previous seasons. I don't know, we've never gone down in quality. We've always gone up, and I never want to ever be that's acceptable. Put that out. I never want to do that. Sometimes there's some things where it's like, I wish we had better music here, but we don't have time to have something new scored. This will work. I mean, every so often something like that will happen. But for the most part, we try and like put the best possible product out there. But in terms of writing, it's very hard to juggle all the stuff that I want to have come out and have it come out in a very natural way. Sometimes I'll be starting to write a scene and then I'll completely take the scene and just throw it in the trash and start a different type of a different location for the scene, because it's all about like there's flexibility of the things that are happening and where they can take place, and it's trying to not rely on any create something new, if that makes sense, a new setting, a new feel to every chapter, different pacing, different there's a lot that happens in the next 5 chapters, so it's been kind of like a little bit of a juggling process to try and get what I want the best way economically with time in one little episode. So it's kind of juggling a lot at once.
Right. So I see what you're saying. That's a whole lot. And next we have I believe it's Red Shirt. So I'm gonna add him to the call here. Let's see, where did he go? There he is. Okay, you should be able to unmute yourself, Red Shirt.
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hey.
Welcome
Hey,
back.
Jeremy?
Hey guys, nice to meet you, Casey. Finally.
Hey.
Sorry I don't have a webcam, but just for your imagination, I actually am, by some chance, wearing a red shirt.
In the
Know
bathtub?
what I do with those.
Yes, in the bathtub.
No, not the bathtub. I just wanted to throw in a quick comment back to what I think it was Funky Dong was saying about the underground LA. One of the posts I put on the forum. After the 1938 flood of LA, the Army Corps of Engineers channelized the LA River. And in addition to that, a lot of the feeder streams were actually put, for the most part, underground as well. If you go to chapter 41.3, post number 171 on page 18, there's a whole lot more to it in the write-up. But there's a whole lot of stuff underground in LA. Not to mention the purple and red lines of the commuter rail system, which are also underground. But with the street name that we learned today, I did a quick check of the transit map of LA, and it turns out there actually are no subways anywhere near that street. I can't seem to recall it off the top of my head. But
That's correct.
yeah.
I do know where there aren't subways. That doesn't give away anything, trust me. But just being part of LA, like the transit in LA sucks. It's awful. There's not really. You have to have a car. You can't get around without one. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that. But post if you can post that link again in the current forum chat, that'd be awesome to take a look at. Like if you. Because I'm always, like, even story side aside, that'd be kind of neat to check out.
All right, let's see here. Let's see. Oh, okay, yeah. The trying to post it in the chat on the YouTube page. It's not letting me do that. Let me see if I can post it in the actual chat for the Hangouts. There it is.
Oh, okay.
That's chapter 41, part 3, and again, it's post number 171 on page 18. A couple of links. Google has changed their maps layout since then, but a lot of those links I embedded in there should go to the actual map image of the parts that I'm talking about. In particular, I believe it's the Passioma Wash goes underground at Van Nuys Boulevard for about a mile. And it looks to be about 2 to 3 cars wide or so. It's probably a square tunnel, so that's pretty big, mile-long tunnel. You can hide a lot of things in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of little contingency plans about like the LA water basin is supposed to be like a channel to get to the sea, and there's a lot of like old militaristic World War II sort of things that kind of have been discovered along the way. A lot of research is done through this stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. I'm not gonna look at it now because I think it'd be distracting.
Yeah. Something else I also took a look at too. Also, I managed to find a small fault line map. The location of that street in Pasadena also seems to be generally in the middle of, but out of the way. Doesn't seem to have any actual major fault lines running through it. One possible idea that I had is there could be maybe a fault line generated cavern that hole might have connected to, but that might not be the case.
I'd have to go pretty deep
Yeah,
there.
that's true.
Well, I'm not going to discourage the idea, especially because it's an interesting idea. But I no comment. I have to be careful. I have to really be careful on this one, guys. Sorry.
Oh, I know. I understand. It's your baby, and you're going to play it close to the chest until it's time to, as you said, pull back the curtain.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff in this. When all this is said and done, I'll probably do a lot of different like talks. We won't really do so much Q&A there at the live event because we're just going to let it resonate for a little while. But we will be doing, when we do the live stream of the last episode, we're going to do that online only. I think maybe it's like a week and a half after the live event in LA. Then we will have the Q&A afterwards and talk a little bit about it and open up some discussions. But there will be things that even then I will be like, that's something for you guys to put the pieces together yourself. Because I have answers to everything that I'm proposing, but a lot of the stuff I don't want to say, if that makes sense. Like, I'm going to give you most everything, but there's some stuff that's going to be that can't be known to the characters and the story, if that makes sense. I would break my own rules.
No, it makes perfectly good sense. I mean, I haven't been published yet myself, but
we will have the Q&A afterwards. Sorry, my bad. For some reason, YouTube stopped. Pause here.
They did that to me too.
Got a weird echo there, and my brain went. But no, I know what you're saying about playing things close to the chest. I'm a writer myself. I know I haven't been published yet, but I'm working on parts of it are kind of like a background system, kind of a continuity of how the world works and operates. And were I to ever be published, there's a fair bit of that background information that's very strictly and solely for me. Probably would never be published.
Yeah, and there's same with some of the science behind some of the things that we're alive. I'm not going to ever put out because there's a lot of scientific explanations for some of these things that that the characters would never know. But I, as an author, have to know, and that's why it's one of those things where it's like people can figure out and put in their own pieces, but it's really just something to make it the answer plausible, but at the same time, if they have information, it would be then implausible. It's kind of a weird balance.
Right, like eyewitness accounts from the actual Ground Zero in England, when no one really possibly could have actually survived from that.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what transcribed around those areas, but nobody else would.
Right. Now, one question I do have for you that I am kind of curious about, in putting the story together and going onto the forums, have the fans made connections and drawn conclusions that might have been accurate, but you hadn't actually put in there intentionally? We just accidentally connected something that actually fit and worked that you didn't put in there?
Yeah, it's happened once or twice where I'm like, crap, that person figured it out. But then there's like 40 other posts that they don't.
Yeah.
Because there's been a couple where it's like, I'm reading it and I'm like, they kind of figured out the last half of this last season. But here's the thing is, there's many different story threads.
Right.
And they only figured out one, so it's not a huge deal. Like, no one has ever figured out every single story thread that's been going on in the story. That's the good part, because there's something for everybody. Somebody's got the science thread, and someone's got the character thread, and someone has this arc of this character thread. So it's a lot of just different. Everyone clings on to something else. It's really interesting.
Cool.
Well, hey, Red Shirt, do you think? What do you think about that behemoth outside Kane Hospital?
Yes.
I think that was probably one of the behemoths, one of the original testing behemoths from the county jail. I got real excited when I heard it had tattoos on it, but then I thought, well, chances are those were probably criminal tats or jail tats, gang tats, that kind of a thing. And it
Can
stands
I
to reason
reveal
that.
something? I'm just gonna throw this out there.
Yeah.
Not from the jail.
Sweet.
Oh. Okay.
I'll reveal that. Why not? Throw it out there.
Well, I've got, let's see,
Well.
what is it?
I'll
There
put
was
it as a conscious Robbins.
a message to us. Yeah, we've gotten a couple messages. One very early, actually, last week. I'm trying to find it now. Somebody thought it might have been Robbins, so that was really interesting and scary.
Well,
It might be Robbins?
Yes.
Oh, no. That would... Mm-mm.
I'm not
Oh,
so
shoot.
sure how. Yeah, I don't see how that could be possible, but considering the amount of physical damage that those poor guys took when they were attacked, they really wouldn't be walking around anymore. I mean, they could maybe possibly have been zombified, but they'd be, draggers. They'd be crawling around, if that.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I'm holding out hope that somehow Robbins himself could still be alive, or that we'll see him zombified in some way. Casey's shaking his head.
No. Put it this way: they're dead. They're not coming back. The story that Puck is telling is more brutal than the way he described it. Put it that way. Like when he said that he just didn't make it, he's cutting out the horror of everything that happened. As a writer, I don't want to. I think it's not. I think it's a little bit in bad taste to get too descriptive about people that you care about in a story like this when it's unnecessary. When he's saying that they would not get back up, he's saying that they would not get back up.
Oh, okay. So my imagination's going all kinds of dark places now.
Yeah.
That you probably didn't want us to go. I see.
Yeah, it's trying to because I love these characters as much as you guys do, and I honestly am not a fan of gratuitous violence. So that's why it's respectful in the way that they're passing, in a way.
Okay, got it. Well, thanks, Jeremy. Do you have anything else for us?
No, I think that's really about it. I'm still trying to digest the episode. I only listened to it a couple hours ago. I had to wait until I got home from work to listen to it.
Yeah, same
So,
here. And even while we're
yeah.
talking tonight, I realized that the little subtitle "Into the Darkness." Now I'm thinking that's with them going into that
Yeah.
tunnel.
It's a very, very literal reveal at the very end of the episode, going down into the actual tunnel itself.
Right.
But I will add, though, that there's been some kicking back and forth about the headaches and the being able of Datu being able to read the language,
Yeah.
and people were contemplating, did the transition, was it triggered by reading it, or can he read it now because he is starting to turn? It's now, with today's episode, kind of seems to be a little bit of both. The symbol is triggering something in his zombie infection, which is then circularly allowing him to read what he's seeing. So I think it's actually a little bit of both.
Well,
Right.
I had a
And then
question.
he forgot it immediately too. That kind of leads into what you're saying there.
Casey, can this language be taught to humans?
Well, he said it didn't say anything. It just meant enter.
That's
I see Grognard. What's up, Grog?
no comment. I can't. Sorry.
Okay.
Put it like this: there might be no. I can't. I want to.
Oh man, I can't wait for the Q&A after it.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, there's. I mean, even now, like I've done Q&As. I think every single season, and each one is never about the previous episode. They're all about what's next. So when we get to the end, we'll be like, hey, what's up? Not much.
All right. Well, good to have you again, Red Shirt. Hopefully, we'll do this again. All right, talk to you later.
No, sure thing. See you guys later.
See ya.
Take care, man. Good stuff. Good topics.
Thanks for coming on, man.
All right, next we have Deacon here. And just a reminder, anybody that wants to get on the show, we have the link in the About section. We've got a little bit of time left here, so if you want to hop in here after Deacon, you can. And I'm going to bring Deacon in now, and you should be able to unmute.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
What's
Hey,
up, Deacon?
How you doing?
Hey, real good, man. Good to see you feeling better.
Yes, I actually have some color. It may not look like it, but I'm actually alive now.
Well, I was gonna say, man, if when we did the photo shoot, if you were still sick, you wouldn't even need any makeup. Just the wig. You could be Randy. We could make it work.
I honestly was barely able to stand at that point. I had to go home because the very next day. Well, okay, so I got to give some backstory because people were like, "What is he talking about?"
Go for it.
Okay, so Deacon, if you don't know, is the photographer who shot those amazing photographs that we did recently with all the cast and crew in one of the warehouses, and a really amazing shoot.
Yeah, good work, man.
The day
Thanks.
before that happened, I got deathly ill. Like, went to the ER and was like really, really in bad shape. I actually had to leave because I was directing Jim Gleason that day for the last chapters that we just did, and I actually had to basically. I've never done this before, but I'm like, Grayson, you have to take over because it was just I couldn't do it anymore, and I was sick, deathly ill for 2 days, and had to direct the next day after the photo shoot. So it was bad. It was really, really bad. So that's what he meant. And I was supposed to, in the photo shoot, I was actually going to do long hair and the beard and be Randy. But it just didn't work out that way.
That's great.
Hey, we can always do another photo shoot, man. I'm always up for it.
We can. We definitely can. We might do it after, because after it's all said and done. Because right now it's it's a lot of juggling to get these things to. Hey, my wife is here now.
All right, too cool. We really want to get her on the show when she gets a chance to.
All right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Casey, you gotta look me in the
definitely
eye and tell me it's not nanobots.
It is not nanobots.
You flinched, man. You flinched. But you know what? I actually did have a pretty legit question. The actors are really cool, and I noticed that several of them were very similar to their characters. How has their personalities influenced their characters on the show?
Depends on the person. There's some people that it all depends on who it is. But who they are is part of how they perform, and it's really hard to separate the two. And I mean it's when I'm writing the characters and they've been playing it for so long, I write to them and they perform to me, if that makes sense. So it's an interchange of personalities that come across the board. So it's as we come on more and more, it's kind of a meshing of the two, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and I think that's why the characters are so believable and so realistic. On the second day, we were working with, and I call everybody by their character names. I keep forgetting the actor name. We were working with Nate G's, and we didn't have any prop guns, and so we were thinking, okay, well, he's a soldier, he needs a gun or something like that, and he picks up this pipe, and he's like, man, I don't need no gun. Saul don't need no gun, and it reminded me of his character perfect, and and see, I call him Victor. Victor is exactly like Victor. Otto, yeah, I keep forgetting their names, but Otto is exactly like Victor, and even in a way, Shirley really reminded me of Tanya, and I kind of had this moment when I was talking to her. She reminded me so much of my mother, and I said, you were always one of my favorite characters because you reminded me so much of my mother. And one thing I noticed with the way that she interacted with the other actors, she really reminded me of Tanya. Just sort of, I don't want to say a motherly, but well, kinda. So as soon as we got home, I was wondering how much influence that has. But when you say that it's sort of a melding of the two, that really does explain why the characters are just so likable and believable. And also, one other question I had, and I tend to talk a lot. I apologize. I talk real fast, but oh God, and I forgot my question. Carry on.
I will say, just to hang on. Part of the thing is some of the characters are established before we ever meet the person who's going to perform them. But when we cast the roles, we're looking for those traits. So when we're casting Tanya, she was the best fit for the motherly type that we had perfectly set in there. And then we kind of it changes a little bit down the road, but like she was cast for that for some of those traits. So it kind of goes both ways. Like that's like Victor's character. Victor, his character was like not even. It was small at first, and then just grew huge over the time. Matter of fact, when Victor first came on the scene, he's one of those characters that grew because he was so cool in the role. Like he like it almost seemed like his character got bigger because he was such a great. What he brought to the role was so awesome.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, Victor became one of my favorites real early on. So you're positive no nanobots though. I mean, just
no nanobots. That would make sense. No, it wouldn't make sense in the story because Ink just couldn't. I mean, it doesn't fit. Like that's one of those things that would be too far out in left field or right field because the technology does not exist to that extent today, especially.
That's true. That's true. All right, and you said that with a pretty straight face, so even I can believe it. And you just ruined me.
If I ever
thought I had it figured out.
Nanobots into the story, come find me.
All right. If you put nanobots in the story, man, I want your beard.
Okay, fine. You can have it. Just give me a month and I'll be back, you know.
Man, I've been trying to grow a beard for the last 23 years. It's just it's sad. I couldn't even scrape dirt off with my little bit of beard scratch.
I stopped shaving at the mid-season hiatus. So
I stopped shaving when I was 13, and I'm just as smooth as I was when I was 13. It's sad.
That's great. Let's see. Well, thanks, Deacon. And once again, those were excellent shots. If you guys haven't seen them, they're out on the We're Live front page, and we can also add them to the show notes once this is in podcast form.
Oh, before I go, though, I wanted to add that for the whole live event, we plan on being there. We're going to have cameras and stuff like that, and I'll figure out a way where everybody can download the photos. The shots from the shoot, if Casey is okay with it, once I'm able to release the rest of the shots, then I'm also going to make those Creative Commons where folks can download them just for like their own personal use or fan use or whatever.
Sweet.
Oh,
yeah,
because
cool. He got some really great shots of the studio, and I'm like, no, don't release. No.
Yeah, I posted them, and then he emails me like, pull that last publish. And I didn't see that anything was really being revealed, but Casey sees things different than I was.
Whoa.
Cut him off! Cut him off!
Oh, wow.
I'm keeping those under my hat for now.
Yeah, I don't, anything in the recording studio, even stills, I'm like, I don't want to release until afterwards, just because who's talking to each other at the same time even, I don't want to have spoiled before. And that's one of the reasons why I actually there's no previews at all for this, because I feel like this is one of those few experiences that you will go into not knowing what's going to happen next, because you do not have anything to go off of. No preview, nothing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely.
Yeah, you can send them to the We're Live FanCast, though. We'll be standing by for those. Well, that's great. Hey, well, thanks again for joining us, Deacon.
Right on, brother. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Take care, man. Thanks again.
Question for you about the album art here. Let's see.
Yes, shoot.
Where
Which
is
one?
it? I'm going to bring it up here.
The most recent one?
Yes. Is that... It's Datu, of course, in the church. Is he holding the camera there? Is that what's
He's
going on?
holding one of the spotters. The camera
Okay.
box that
See,
they
'cause
have.
for the longest time,
Oh, cool.
I thought that was like a hammer. Redbeard and I were talking about it. We couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah, it's that's the camera box. You could like episode 1, you had no idea. Episode 2, you might not have an idea. Episode 3 is like, oh yeah, they grabbed the camera box from around the ones they set up around Ground Zero.
Right. Okay, cool. So that's what it looks like. You just push in that little rod he's holding there into the ground.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's
Like a
kind of like a
game camera?
mailbox with a window. They're not really that special, but they the way that they designed them was for them to stake in the ground, kept the camera dry inside from any rain or any moisture, and yet still was able to like pick up an image if they could.
Right, right. Okay, well, let's see here. What else do we have? Redbeard, I'm sad. Robbins is
Done.
done. That's tough. All right.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, it's par for the course, and I can't tell you why, but it's everything that's happened happens for a reason in the story. So it'll like bring these things up at the end, and I will tell you why the decisions I made, and I think they'll make sense when you get to the final conclusion.
All right. I don't want to
So-
wait. But
So
it's okay.
it's technology that exists today, medical abilities that exist today. So no aliens, no nanobots, no aliens, right?
If it was aliens, I wouldn't establish it by now, I would be a really bad writer. I'm just saying. Not saying that I'm a good writer. I'm not gonna, because who knows? Maybe I don't land this ending, and everyone thinks it's the worst thing known to man, and I end up on the top 10 worst endings list. I don't think that'll be the case, but I will be humble about it. That I will say that there's inherent risks with everything, and I think it's a good story. I think it's got a great ending, and I'm really happy with it. And I think people will accept it and like it for what it is.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
And
it looks like Todd
if
showed up.
people really like Miss Robbins or Tony Ray, he's on Blair's improv team, and they perform all the time on a team called Fancy Hobo. So check them out. Google them, Fancy Hobo.
Yeah, definitely.
Fancy
Hobo.
Hobo.
I've been meaning to look them up.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
great team. They do a lot of really good improvisational comedy, and yeah, I think it's a really, really talented. That's one of the reasons I met him actually was through the improv festival. There's been a lot of actors on the show who've come from improv comedy because that's what my wife does. So it's been like a kind of a here's you, I'll take you and borrow you, and because Muldoon, he's also improvisational. There's been a lot of them on the show throughout, even some side characters that people don't even know who they were. Like there was one Boulder soldier that was on the helicopter that was played by Thomas Kellogg, and he's another comedian. He does stand-up comedy. So there's a lot of like real funny people who are on the show who have to do serious stuff. It's kind of like. But the great thing about it is they're really flexible. A lot of really good people. James Stevick, also was an improviser on one of Blair's teams as well.
J to Z.
Yep. And Max is another improviser. So all these, a lot of side characters and a few main characters are all kind of come from her little background. So I'm kind of leeching them a bit.
That's a question that I forgot to ask. Was it Max? Why was he so irritated all of a sudden with Datu? Or is it Pete?
No, that's Pete.
That was Pete.
Oh, Pete, why is Pete irritated?
Yes.
What got up his
Irritable
craw?
guy. Pete's very egotistical. Put it like this: people who are in positions of power can sometimes exploit it. Imagine you're the guy who's got everything and everybody needs something from you. He kind of got into that role at the colony. Yeah, that was Greg. Oh, Chris is like Greg Miller. I don't know, but if that's your perspective of Greg Miller, I love Greg. Greg's such a great guy, and it's just the Pete just kind of fit for me, kind of being a little bit of a dick because everyone's nice to Datu, and someone's got to be a dick to him. Because let's face it, Datu's supposed to be this great mechanical guy, and he's been working on this pump for how long, and it still doesn't work. It's a bloody windmill. I mean, come on. I kind of share Pete's frustration a little bit.
Okay, I can accept that partially.
Well, there's a lot more that I explore in the background of the character, like why he is the way he is. Like, imagine a whole story of Pete in his shop. Like, here he is at the colony, everything's going well for him. He's like has all this stuff. Then all of a sudden the Maulers come in, raid all of his crap. He's got nothing. He loses his position of power. Then all of a sudden he starts to have it again when the colony comes back into CJ's power, and he's like, yeah, now I got my shop and everything. And then all of a sudden she's like, all right, let's go. And he's like,
and that's why people are frustrated with CJ.
Yeah, well, at the same time, there are people that in the colony that just put her on a pedestal because literally there are people that were slaves under the Maulers. We haven't even talked about them much. People don't remember that they took slaves, like they just took people who were survivors and put them in like slave encampments and forced them to work. Those people became citizens of the colony. So imagine you the person who leaded everyone to liberate you. You're not going to think ill will of her almost at all. She can almost do no wrong to many of the people that are there.
All right, I brought Todd into the show here. Welcome back.
Todd!
You there?
He was there. Matter of fact, it was pretty creepy because I could see his face, but it was in dark.
Okay.
And he was like, hey.
Yeah, he was moving. It was kind of freaky looking. The lighting you had, I thought it was a picture, and then all of a sudden you started like creeping off the screen.
Am I here now?
Yeah, you're here. Loud and clear.
Okay, there we go. There we go. What have I missed? I literally walked in the door and fired up the computer.
Well, he told us how the last chapter ended, but that was it.
Oh, cool. Wonderful.
Yeah, that's it. That's all.
We talked about
Turns out it's nanobots.
Well, you know, we did reveal. I did reveal that the behemoth that is currently showed up is not from the jail. That's the only thing that I revealed that was really something different that wasn't on the page.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, it's also not Robin's. Some theories have been out there.
Yeah. Well, I'll just go ahead and jump into it.
Yeah, shoot.
I really enjoyed the way there's so much controversy, I guess, with the current zombie language or whatever thing going on. Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit. Kind of like the general consensus is that wait and see. Because a lot of people are, I think, jumping to kind of the conclusion that it's something mythical, or magical kind of thing. But there's, I think, a more of a logical explanation that we'll get a little bit later on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the way I take it, is so many things just in that, in the brain itself, you just can't really explain unless you're a neurological scientist or whatever. But
yeah, and even them they're still trying to put the pieces together.
Exactly. And then you throw in another aspect where you're bringing in a zombie virus or whatever you're doing, and what changes does that make? And how can you possibly analyze that compared to what we know just in our normal world? So I don't really see the problem that everyone's having, personally.
Tanya's been able to give us I'm sorry, not Tanya. Datu going through this process that he has given us the only aspect of the mental changing that we've ever seen from anybody. So we're kind of discovering new things about them through him. And like with Tanya, she's able to observe all the different changes in the body through autopsies and things like that. But even if she dissected the brain, she might not know what really is going on up there. And so Datu describing how he's seeing everything from a distance, as if he's like has a backseat in his mind, is the idea of just being in that perspective of what it is like, and kind of the horrors that is what it is that you're changing into. It's kind of it's the first time we've ever had a real personal touch into that perspective.
Right, right. Another thing which would kind of jump into the whole Lost thing we were talking about earlier today is with that. Okay, let's just go into it.
Jump in. That's fine. I'm not.
Yeah.
Beware, there may be Lost spoilers upcoming. I'm not sure.
Right, right. Well, a lot of it's just the story itself and how it was presented. Let's put it this way. Had the showrunners for that show not been as vocal as they were and told you so many things out in public to where you could, such as saying they're not all dead, or it's not magic.
Purgatory, yeah.
Right. Had they not come forward and said that, how would that color your opinion now? Or by the end
I think I would have had a different perspective. I think I think when Lindelof came out and said it's not purgatory, and then it was later, like, distinctly purgatory, in a way, and people were like, it really was. It's cheap. It cheapens the experience. My biggest problem with Lost was that you're invested in storylines that didn't actually exist. Like when that whole when they're off the island thing for the last season, we basically wasted screen time, in a figment of imagination world that had no consequences. That's my major problem. Is it's almost cheapens the experience. It's like, wait a minute, so these choices that the characters were making weren't real choices. It was all just imaginary. It wasn't real. It was almost intentionally deceiving. The biggest proponent of that is the fact that the opening season, they go out opening the last season, they go out of the plane under the water, and you see the island under the water. What did that have anything to do with what they were going for in the end? It wasn't there. It was intentionally misleading for the audience, and that's when I have a problem with the story, is when you take a listener or a viewer, whoever's enjoying your story, down a path that's completely worthless, and they get nothing out of it. It's just bad, and that's yeah.
I'm hoping not spoiling more, but it still would have worked if it had only been one person's perspective at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree with that too.
They didn't know what they were going for. They wrote themselves into a really bad corner, and they should have, around season 2 or 3, figured out where they were going. And one of the things that makes me mad the most, and people are like, "Why are you ending We're Alive?" They set precedents of what not to do. Was they just took the story that was supposed to be a certain amount of time, and they extended it beyond what it was supposed to be, and then you scramble to try and come up with storylines, and then you lose focus of what's really supposed to be going on. Everyone's commenting on my background right now. And they're like, "What's going on?" Right there?
I know.
They said you're hoarding.
I'm not hoarding. Okay, if you really want to know, I finally got a new production computer, so it's sitting back there right now.
Oh, beautiful.
So, because I've overloaded my computer too many times, and it can't keep up with me editing anymore. So I've decided to finally, bite the bullet, because with all these chapters, they're getting more and more information and stuff, and it's just the computer's completely overloaded now, and it's like not having it anymore.
We totally understand that.
Yeah. Hey, Todd, you got anything else?
Let me think. Well, kind of just going back to where the Lost conversation started, with the idea of coloring opinions. Just today had I don't know if I'd call it a heated debate or a argument or whatever with Litmaster based on that idea. Yeah. Basically, my opinion of it is, with everyone getting kind of heated right now, or controversial, whatever you want to call it, with the whole zombie language thing. I propose that part of that is the fact that we know the writer, we know the creator. We know him as a rational, science-minded type of guy, and now everyone's somewhat seeing something that they're labeling as magic. So I pretty much said that our opinions of the writer color our opinions of the show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's entirely true. I mean, if God, somebody, fine, I can't close. There's too much stuff in the way. I can't close the closet, guys.
He's not wearing the closet, people. He does not want to get up.
There's too much stuff in the way. Let's stay on topic. I know it's gone. Yeah. Okay. So I agree. Like, if I choose to do something that is a little bit outside the spectrum of science, it is risky. It definitely is risky. But there's already been there's certain things that are on the edge that I play with all the time.
Absolutely.
And there are certain gray areas in this that are feasible. And that's my main thing is the answer that I have for this, especially because this has been, for some reason, this is like one of those moments where people, don't want to say jumping the shark, but it's kind of applies to where it's like one of those things that might hinder the a chink in the armor, so to speak. It's like, oh, there's that one thing that's like that people point out. I don't think this is going to be it. I think when people actually get the answers of everything that happens, they're going to be like, okay, I dig it now. I kind of overthought it at the time. That's happened, I think, a couple times throughout the story as it's gone on, because there's been moments in the story, I think even in the first season when we did the smell thing, people were like, I don't like that. And then it became a staple in the show, and they're like, oh, this is cool. This is like a rule that we get. So stuff like that is definitely part of the story. It's just, especially as we go slowly through these last ones and we reveal little bits here and there, we reveal a lot more in a short amount of time. So I think there will be things where people were like, what? But it's I think it's within the story spectrum. I think we're okay.
Absolutely. Like, just for me, I know my opinion of it. I'm a huge Scott Sigler fan, so I definitely enjoy the way the story's going so far. Just based on that, a lot more of the hard sci-fi thing. I don't know, that's basically all I had for the evening.
Okay. Yeah, no, there's little, everyone is analyzing the hell out of everything behind me. Stop it! Yeah, no, there's definitely, there's some stuff that's going to be suspension of a little bit of disbelief. It's just going to happen. Okay, fine. I'll take you on a tour of the office. We'll take a little bit of a break here.
Yay! Field trip.
So I'll let me see. Can I disconnect the?
I'm locking the camera on you, so go ahead.
Yeah, oh, you're locking it on me? Okay. So, since people are very interested in all the stuff that's in the background here, up there, those are our Golden Ogle Awards. Those are for Chapter 10 and Chapter 17. They're for We're Alive. Up there, above that is my Pro Tools certification. And then there's a cosplay thing that I made for Blair. And then those are all the scripts. If I can get it, there we go. Those are all the scripts for We're Alive there. All three.
Beautiful.
So it's pretty thick and dense, and I kind of had to go to a second shelf. There was too many. So yeah, so that's pretty much The Office. There's a bunch of other little stuff in here because I used to do a lot of video production things and stuff like that. So I have like other posters, and I also live here, so there's clothes too. So bear in mind I'm a human being that has a life, and I have to wear things.
Thanks for the tour.
Yeah, so there's a lot of really cool We're Alive stuff. This is where I edit all the We're Alive stuff. You can see the speakers. We use KRK, Rocket 5s, and then over here on the right we have There is just the M box and all the mixing stations, and then down there is the mic jacks and stuff like that. And if I do ADR and things like that, here I have my own set of mics and stuff. So yeah, because this is where I do a lot of the audio editing for We're Live. Yeah, I'm pretty much in this chair a lot, to the point where it's completely worn down in spots. And actually, the funny thing is, this chair is featured many, many times in the show. Of like when Bert's sitting down and squeaking, it's usually this chair. Because it's like when early in the beginning, especially, it's like when they're doing the conference scenes and things like that. I just put the mic here and just acted it out, just to give them some movements of things that's going on.
Well, that's great. Hey, Casey, I guess we're going to probably wrap this thing up here. We've had a lot of fun, and it's been great to have you back on. And
oh, yeah, thank you.
Same to you, Todd. Thanks for joining us.
Does anybody in the chat, should we do a quick rundown of any chat questions of anybody who wasn't able to get on?
If you have time, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's do that, because I don't want anybody to feel like they didn't get to ask something that they wanted, even though they don't have a mic.
Yeah, definitely.
So anybody who has questions in the that's streaming, if you didn't get to ask one or something. I know Marv was here for a little while. I don't know if he's here anymore. Some people wanted to have him come on. I don't know if he's still sticking around, but it's okay.
So Richard says, Kimmett's chair too. That chair squeaked a lot.
Yeah, I think this is Kimmett's chair too. It's a very talented chair. It's very talented.
What do you record with? You just get your iPhone out and record that, or what?
Oh, no. This is one of the microphones, or similar to the microphones that we use. This right here is an Audio-Technica AT4051. With the microphones we use to record our actors are the longer shotgun ones. They have about to here. This guy right here I typically do for Foley, because the microphone receiving end is actually very, very small. All the receptors that receive all the sound signals are pretty tiny inside of here, and the pickup pattern is small. So if I'm recording in a room like this, if I use a microphone that's shorter, I won't get as much reverb. So I use this a lot when doing just simple stuff like paper. Whenever I have somebody writing something down, and that way I don't have to go to a recording studio and do that stuff, because the reality of it is, it's like, oh, I'm editing, and oh, that paper doesn't sound right, and it's hard to get something that's perfect. So that's why it's just good to just put a mic on, hit record, done. So you can do Foley within seconds, and then move on to a different portion where you'd spend like maybe minutes trying to find something in a sound library that might be close, or tweak what you have. It's just trying to be kind of economical in time.
Okay, yeah, that's really good to see. Let's scroll back up here. We have another question. Katie Leroy is asking, how many sound effects did you create before you had access to the Foley Theater?
I always had access to the Foley Theater, to be honest, from episode 1. That's where we did the round-robin recording for everybody. But I will say that we didn't do a lot of Foley in the beginning because we just kind of relied on the sound effects library to try and get by in certain scenes. Because I'll be honest, the first season in terms of sound design is pretty simple. It's pretty stock sound effects of people wandering around. Now it's like any footstep is Foleyed. Every single little movement that somebody does, it interacts with something much more involved. But our sound effects library, I think, is at least 100,000, if not more, sound effects. Easily more than that, I think.
Wow. How do you? Oh, never mind. That's a different question altogether.
Oh, how do we organize it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll show you that.
Crazy.
All right, so let me connect to my. Let me get the program running. We'll maybe move on to another question, and I'll kind of show you a little bit about it.
Sure. Rachel asks, "What's your favorite Foley work you've completed at home?" You completed at home is what I should say.
I recorded the dog. Marcus for the colony. The dog barking, that was my dog. I knocked on the door like it was a mailman, and the dog went crazy. It did perfectly.
That's great.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video of that in there.
Yeah, I was like in my pajamas because that's how I edit. Because no one sees me. I mean, you'd be surprised how much of We're Alive was done in my underwear. Just saying.
Well, Redbeard and I are in a tux. We dressed up for the podcast as usual, but
Only from the top up.
I guess it's just us.
It's one of those funeral garbs. It's just the front, you know.
Yes.
Welcome. Let's see, any more questions from chat? Ask away.
Okay. Oh, so the accurate count of how many sound effects we have is 249,603.
249,000. Oh my goodness.
All right, so this is kind of how we do it. A little bit of a behind the scenes here. This is our library here. This is SoundMiner. This is how we search our database for all our sounds. Right now it's in alphabetical order, so if I scroll through this list, it just goes on and on and on and on. These little icons here are the different albums that we have with the different licenses. I think this is a this is General. I can't remember who does this series. Oh, it says over here. Like I have a full description of all the what the information of each one is. And if I turn up my sound effects as an adding machine, so if I just look up here, say for instance I'm looking for, I don't know, we do a lot of truck stuff. So I look up truck, and I get 4,000 results. I can go truck door. And it narrows my search down a little bit more. So I got fire engines, fire trucks, door pistons, cargo vans. Like, it depends. Like, whatever I'm looking for specifically, I have limitless options. So, like, even the way the door closes tells you something. So it's like, it's kind of finding that right thing that fits exactly what you want. And that's why I love having this library, is because you can definitely like tailor specifically whatever you want in the scenes. However a character interacts with an object is very tailored and specific exactly for that scene.
Very cool. I could geek out to
there
that
was
for a minute.
There was a good question. Oh, Alberto says, I noticed the crows are gone from recent episodes. Is there a reason?
No. Well, no, crows. People have a lot of theories on these crows, crow things, and I'm just going to say that if they're in there, it's meant to give some sort of feeling or emotion. Sometimes it's foreshadowing for something to happen. Those sorts of things. So it depends on what the scene is. If crows give a feeling of sometimes desperation, or I'm not going to get into too much. Just yeah. Oh, and if people said, "Oh, you edit on a Dell?" That's just the monitor. We actually do. We're pretty exclusively Mac here, because and the main reason why is because Pro Tools, which is our main editing program. You know, I'll actually load up the last session and kind of give you a tour of that too if you want.
Oh, very cool.
Pro Tools is pretty much the industry standard for editing audio. So being able to like use it very, very fluidly and easily is pretty much better on a Mac than a PC, because I use both for work.
Nice. I see Chris is he says baby sound effects.
No. I don't know. It's that sound effects library for babies. I mean, I don't know if they actually know the stock stuff for those sorts of things. It's not a real plausible thing to do. I don't know.
Blair said, "Show them Scary Playground."
Scary Playground. That's my favorite sound effect. How did she know? Yeah. Okay. So I closed the program, so I won't do it. But if there is an ambient tone that I use so much in the series called it's like Wind Playground, and every so often you can hear this like little bit of a metal squeak, but it makes me feel so much like an open, desolate area that I use it all the time. Like even the last episode, I'm looking and I can see it right there. It's on the timeline, because it's really one of those like ambient wind tones that you can't really get anywhere else. So here I'll show you. This is a typical chapter here. This is actually 43. So down here, it's all broken up into sections. It's a massive amount of tracks. If I zoom out,
Oh, goodness.
This is just the vocal tracks up here. This is all just the voices, and then down here is all the sound effects. Then you get even lower, and then you get into the ambient stuff, and then at the bottom is all the music. So in total, it gets insanely huge. So as I go through some of this stuff, like here,
I'm sorry, I didn't know you would.
So down here is all the ambient stuff. This is just, if I solo it and play it, it is just the air tones in the background. So if I play it, you hear the birds, you hear a little bit of, like, there's some, inside of here, the spirit wind desolation, there's the generator, it's a little bit in the background, the wind. It's all basically, the levels are changed depending on what sort of things are happening in the scene at the time. And then obviously we have the music tracks down here. It's a blending a lot of the time of multiple things. Like right here, here's the section where I'll just solo this so you can kind of hear it. The end of the last episode. So it kind of goes through here. You get I think that's the cello. No, it's a viola right there. And then it goes from there, and then it transitions pretty seamlessly. So there's the and then it goes into the guitar. So it's all kind of layered in there. Here's some special tracks here, more sound effects, and then all this stuff is just people moving around. Here's, like, if I solo these tracks, I'll just take off the music stuff here. Here's Datu's foot chains, and Hope. Actually, that's not Hope walking around. That's a mislabeled track. And then up here at the top, we have all the vocalization. So we have a lot of alternate takes of people. Like, if you look at the color stuff, I don't know how much you can see right now because I'm looking at the screen, but the colored ones are the actual lines being used, and the grays are alternate takes that we have. So if I was to go over here, and let's just solo these audio tracks here.
I know, that was radon.
So that's Michael's performance there. I can mute it and say, okay, I don't like that performance. I can go with the other one and do that one.
I know that. That was radon.
So depending on, like, what performances match each one, I have a lot of options I can go through with this. Because when we record, we do a lot of different takes just to get different feelings and emotions and different ideas. And you can see there's a lot of alternate takes in here. We'll never release them because all it is just the same line, just said a little bit differently. And then we go through. It's just pretty massive. Like, so there's all the voices, and you scroll down, and, like, here's just the footstep sections alone. They get pretty complicated. And yeah, that's a tour of kind of the back end of what we do.
Very cool. Thank you for letting us see that.
Yeah, no problem. Obviously, I'm not going to save that. So yeah, that's pretty much every chapter is like that. So 43 of those before that, and we spend an unseemly amount of time getting everything, like, as perfect as we can. And somebody asked, what software is this? It's Pro Tools. Because one of the great things about Pro Tools, and very few programs can, Pro Tools, I can edit and play back at the same time. So actually, I'm playing back and making modifications as I go on the fly, which is a huge time saver. Because if you couldn't do that, it's like it's pretty difficult. Like, it would take forever because each episode's 25 minutes, and it's just, yeah, it takes a long time.
We got a couple more questions here, or I guess comments. Funky Dunk says he can't get back in. Somehow I blocked him. I thought I told it not to do that, but he says let me go back up a little bit. He says, I'd like to amend my thoughts on the zombie language. Since I'm blocked from rejoining chat, please note for me that Tagalog doesn't really make sense.
That's true.
If the symbols were Tagalog, Datu wouldn't forget it after reading. Plus, he'd probably say, hey, it's Tagalog.
That's well reasoned.
Yeah, that came much more clear this show than the last one.
Yeah, the last episode, the ending obviously is a cliffhanger. It's meant to, like, spur a conversation about what is the next thing to happen. And there's going to be a lot of those coming up in future episodes because that's the format we run. Is it's all about bringing you back into to our world and having you tune back in every Monday. It's the radio drama format. It's something that has kind of been dead for so long. We're trying to, give it life.
Sweet.
Very good, very good. All right, Redbeard. I don't have anything else, brother. Do you have anything?
No. It feels like I should have more, and I don't.
No. Well, once again, thank you again for Casey and everybody for joining us for this live FanCast. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you had fun doing this, Casey.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's always a blast, and I love. I live, eat, and breathe this stuff, so sharing it makes me feel like, oh, other people enjoy this stuff, so it's kind of cool.
That, and also, no, people don't know this, but it was pretty short notice. I got in touch with you last Thursday or Friday, and you were ready for it, so thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, no problem. My sister's 21st birthday was tonight, so we went, had a little barbecue, came back, and yeah, it worked out perfect timing, so no big deal. I was really excited to come on and talk about it. Especially, I was like, but that was before the episode was released, and I was like, we'll have a lot of cool stuff to talk about in this one.
Yeah, happy birthday to Katie, right?
Yeah, my sister just turned 21, and she'll be going out this weekend with us, and probably not coming home.
Oh, Katie Lero, she says, what's the future for We're Live beyond the podcast? And we'll end with that question.
Boy. Well, here's the thing. When We're Live is over, the podcast ends in July. We'll release the final season, season 4, on CD so everyone can have it. I'd love to visit and come back and like not describe, but actually do the full 4 seasons in one set, and kind of come back and do a clean version. Actually, is one of the ideas, where it doesn't have any language, and that way, if somebody, we're still edgy in terms of our family appropriateness. So that's one of the things we'd like to do. As for, I'd love to go to another medium. I really would. And so when We're Live is done, I will spend more time immediately afterwards trying to get us what do you call it? An agent that can pitch this to networks so we can maybe get an option for film or TV. Because I would love. Because one of the greatest series, in my opinion, is Game of Thrones on HBO, and I would love to see what they could do with this on there. Because, sure, AMC's got theirs, but what if HBO did it?
Really? I know. And Katie actually just joined the call, so
sure.
do you mind if we can get a question from her?
While she's doing that, I will reveal, because everyone's been nice, the next chapter's title.
All right, chapter 44.
Chapter 44's title is Life and Death.
Oh no, that's
So take that as you will. Analyze whatever you want out of it, but that is the next chapter. Is chapter 44 is Life and Death.
Life and Death. Too cool. Hey Katie, you can unmute your mic and talk whenever you want to.
I haven't ever tested this thing out before, so.
Sounds great.
Okay.
It seems to be working just fine.
Cool beans. You answered my question that I had was what's the future for We're Alive after the podcast, and just where's it planning on going? I'm curious.
Yeah, I have. I actually We're Alive. That's what I want to do with We're Alive, and then I have 2 entirely other series that I was working on that I'd love to continue to work on that I think would be great. I have a whole stack of stories that I haven't done anything with. Like this right here is one of those stories. So it's like a lot of it's already been like researched and done.
With the Frankenstein head.
I haven't really been able to do too much on it while this story's been going, because so I have other stories to tell. I'm just hoping to get to them next.
Are they all sci-fi based, or do you explore otherwise?
They're a play on reality in a way.
Okay.
All of my stories have some sort of sci-fi basis, but they're also grounded in reality to where they are plausible. Because I think that the greatest stories hinge on reality as much. And a lot of these are really amazing character pieces, especially that one that I'm dying to get to, but I haven't been able to get to it in It's weird because I created a character that I love, and I haven't been able to do much with them for over 5 years, and it's kind of like I want to get back to doing more with them, and I'm really excited to kind of do more stories. And I think now that we have a cool following behind Real Live, there might be a chance for where I can launch that platform and maybe start doing the stuff kind of full time, hopefully one day.
Are you thinking the same sort of media venue or the same? It's late. I can't think.
No, it's okay. Actually, I don't know. I have the stories to tell. I don't know what medium to tell them in. Like, I don't know if this story would lend it for an audio drama. We're Live was kind of designed with the idea of it kind of using an audio oral sensation tour, and it's kind of is tailored for that. This story, I don't know as much if it would work. So I don't know if I would do novels or whatnot, or it could just go directly to a visual movie medium or TV medium. I don't know. It's kind of a lot of it's up in the air. Once I flesh out the stories more, then I'll have a better grasp on what I might be able to tell it in. And also, if I'm able to do it full time, that's a huge difference there. Because if I'm like having the opportunity to do this stuff, because my day job is I'm an engineer and I come home and work on We're Live, and if I don't have to do that anymore and I can just do this, I'd love to just run with the stories and push more out there.
Would you still release them in a free-ish format like you did with the podcast?
Probably not. Only because that's how I would quit my day job to do it. So that's the trade-off.
Yeah.
Is I think that the great thing about We're Live, and I will always have We're Live available free. That's my goal, is to have a version of it free. Maybe not the best remastered version that we have, that's the CDs and things like that, because I think it's opening you up into our world, and then kind of like, you know, it's an intro to my style of storytelling, and then hopefully other stories, if you like that, maybe you'll like this too, so to speak.
Okay. That was my question.
Yeah.
What's
Very
the future?
Cool. Thanks for coming on, Katie.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you.
And nice to hear you and see you.
Yeah, thanks everyone for sticking around so late. I know it's like, I think we're at least 1 a.m. on the East Coast. We're getting there.
We're getting there. All right, well, this has been episode 33 of the We're Live FanCast. Thanks again, Casey.
Thanks, guys.
And this has been Mick.
And this has been Redbeard.
All right, that's all, guys.